This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to CWK Live every Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm your host, Dan Zayer, thrilled to be talking Star Wars with each and every one of you. Let's welcome all of our friends on tonight's show. First, we have Ross. Ross is here. Ross, what's up, man? Ross was back from Scarif. Ross had a very exciting trip that he and his beloved took, and Ross, I will let you share that information with us, but it's good to have you. Mary is here as well. Happy Monday to you. Jason is it says freezing cold northern Illinois. Jason, I'm in central Illinois. I'm not sure if you knew that or not, but yeah, we're not all that far away. It's good to have you and Henrik back on the show. Speaking of back on the show, Mason Z is here for all your Star Wars and Harry Potter needs. Hello, Mason. Anthony says it's freezing in DC. Time to warm up with some CWK Live. Anthony, we are glad to have you, my friend. Amber and River are here as well. Welcome, friends. And of course, Minta, this is the way. It's CWK Day. All right, on tonight's show, what do we have for all of our friends? We've got, Jamie says, good evening, everyone. Same as Jason, super cold here in New England. Oh, man. So Ross is revealed. Ross was in Hawaii. Kauai was warmer than Indy is right now. I believe that. And Ross, Hawaii is definitely on the Zaire bucket list. So someday we're going to do that. But tonight, we're going to talk about your top 5 moments from Star Wars Rebels Episode 3 of Season 1, Droids In Distress. We've got some Star Wars Celebration news and your comments and questions. Hello, Josh. Welcome back. Amber says it's warm in Georgia. I'm sure it is. All right, let's take a look at what is brewing in the world of Star Wars this week. What's up, Brian? Brian says, I got to get my Star Wars fix in on Monday. Well, this is the place to do it, my friend. Let's take a look at what is going on in the world of Star Wars. Last week, I told you about the podcast meetup. I had a very rudimentary logo that I didn't love. And then I've got this secret weapon up my sleeve. His name is Corey Club. And I said, Corey, can you spice up what I got going on here? And Corey makes this. Boom. Much better than anything I could ever possibly dream to do. Your celebration podcast meetup is Thursday, May 26th at 7 o'clock p.m. or until our credits run out. That's when it starts at 7 and it'll last until we just get bored or tired or it's time to go to bed and wake up for more celebration fun. It's at the Hilton Anaheim Mix Lounge. All podcasts are welcome. You can learn more and RSVP at coffeewithkenobi.com/community. That will basically take you to our Facebook event page, which is fun. Anthony says, I am so excited for the meetup. I'm excited for it too, man. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone for sure. All right, speaking of looking forward to things, that seems a little repetitive. We had some fun news this week. I would say that I've been sitting on for a while, and now the news is out there as of last week. Josh's Illegal Geeks will be there. That is great, Josh. Make sure you RSVP on the Facebook page, event page. It would be great to have you so people can see you're coming and they can get even more excited about this event. All right, so we finally got some news about who is going to be attending Celebration. We've got some Star Wars celebrities. These are legacy actors, of course. Autographing and photo ops. Anthony Daniels, the voice of C-3PO. A former guest of Coffee with Kenobi and a great guy. Ashley Eckstein, of course, the legendary Ashley Eckstein that Mrs. Air played Sabacc with and won against. She is awesome, of course. Everybody knows her as the voice of Ahsoka Tano. She'll be autographing and doing photo ops all days. And Ian McDiarmid, Emperor Palpatine, autographing photo ops all days. He is another great guy. I got to chat with him at the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker premiere, and he's a prince of a man. He's the exact opposite of what he is in the films, of course. So, something interesting happened that you may have noticed. StarWars.com posted that we have the first batch of Star Wars celebrities and special guests showing up. Now, obviously, I knew about the fact, and let me just get to that right away. We've got Doug Chang and Steve Sansweet. Of course, Doug Chang, both of these guys, also guests of Coffee with Kenobi. Doug is Lucasfilm Vice President and Executive Creative Director, featured guest all days. And of course, Steve Sansweet, Executive Chairman and founder of Rancho Obi-Wan, featured guest all days as well. Love these guys. So I didn't really know. I mean, I knew Steve was going to be there, of course. I hoped that Doug was going to be there. Everyone else, I wasn't necessarily sure yet. But I saw the post. Well, let me just get to it. Let's just do it. All right. So, yes, I am, friends, I am one of the stage hosts for Star Wars Celebration. It's amazing to be able to say it out loud. I've been sitting on this for a little while, and to be able to get that news out to all of you was really, really special. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on that. And, of course, Amy Radcliffe, former member of the Coffee with Kenobi podcast network when we had that, one of the co-hosts of Lattes with Leia. This is, I believe, her 4th celebration as stage host, so congratulations again to Amy. I'm looking forward to working with her. So, yeah, so I'm scrolling through the StarWars.com looking for news and information. I see the post about this, and then I click on it, and I read Anthony, Ashley, Ian. I'm like, oh, cool, man, this is awesome. And I scroll down, and I saw this picture right here, and I can tell you, friends, I had no idea about this. Zero idea at all. And I started shaking. My hands started shaking. I mean, when you know something's going to happen, I knew that I was going to be, of course, one of the hosts of Star Wars Celebration, but I didn't know how they were going to reveal it or when. So it was as much a surprise to me, which is cool, I think. I mean, I knew it was coming really, really soon, and they have really cool ways of revealing and announcing things. But seeing like that and having me lined up, Steve Sansweet texted me right away, and he said some really, really kind things. And I was blown away because enough of that. It was great. Thank you so much to everybody who was so excited along with me. I got so many calls and texts and emails and Twitter messages and Facebook DMs and stuff like that. It was a great day. I texted my wife and I said, "It's out. The news is out," and she was super excited too. So yeah, there's that. And then if you go to the celebration guest page and you click that, and there's my mug and a little bit of bio that they wrote for me. So yeah, I'm even more excited about Star Wars Celebration than I was before, if that is even possible. Is that possible? Yeah, I think so. So thanks so much, everybody. Minta says, can't make it to Celebration this year, but maybe next year. Minta, don't worry, we'll save a spot for you. And of course, if you can't make it to Celebration, there's always the Halcyon, the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser meetup we're going to do next summer. Ben says he knows that guy. Yes, I thought you looked familiar, Ben. I thought so. Anthony says, congratulations, Dan. I geeked out when I saw the news. Well, thank you, my friend. I'm very excited about it. It's definitely an honor. I'm thrilled to death about it. I can't wait to get up on that stage and talk with all of you. It's going to be a blast. Liberty says, a little late to the party tonight, but hello there, Liberty. Good to have you. Ross wants to know, has John Williams done a special intro for this group yet? Ooh, Ross, I like that. Let's manifest that. Let's make that happen. I don't think it will, but I like it. Brian, thank you so much for the cheers, my friend. Oh, excuse me. Mary says, so cool. Thank you, Mary. Thanks for reaching out too. Amber says, congrats, as does Jason and Minta. Oh, gosh, guys. Again, thank you so much. We're going to have a blast. As soon as I know more and can share things with you about what you can expect from the Star Wars Celebration stage, I will be sure to let you know. But definitely be on the lookout on StarWars.com and the Star Wars Celebration website, and of course, here on Coffee with Kenobi. Liberty says, Celebration is definitely on my list of things I need to do. Can't do it this year, but I will certainly get there. Liberty, when you get the chance, it's amazing. It's a lot of fun. You're going to love it. Josh says, well deserved. Well, thank you, Josh. And again, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it so much. Oh, you guys make me smile. Love it. I love it. Well, speaking of smiling, we're reviewing Star Wars Rebels. Not even reviewing, we're just kind of reminiscing and watching it again because it's a blast. And when we watch this episode, the 3rd episode in Season 1, Droids in Distress, as Mesa and I were watching it again, we rewatched it actually yesterday, we we were talking about how we didn't really remember a lot about this episode, which is great. By the way, fun trivia, if you weren't aware of it, on the top right is a protocol droid, and that is basically, not basically, but it is the how Ralph McQuarrie first originally designed the look of C-3PO. Just to see him there as a translator droid was a pretty cool little homage. All right, so yeah, we were talking about your top 5 moments from Star Wars Rebels Droids in Distress. Let's take a look at that a little more closely and jump into our top 5. Okay. Ben says C-3PO 1.0. That's actually a really good way to look at it, to be honest. All right. My number 1 is R2 and Chopper. So what do I mean by that? Look, I love Chopper. I love R2-D2, and they don't spend a lot of screen time together throughout the history of the Star Wars saga. So to see them together like this, I gotta say Chopper was really aggressive, but that was part of his shtick, to be a distraction and a decoy. And then R2 didn't ever really fight back, which is interesting, but R2-D2 had more important things to do. He was on a secret mission, which we learned about towards the end of the episode, but seeing them together was quite fun. A C-110P model and an R2 astromech model was fantastic. C-3PO was flummoxed by the whole thing, as is typically his way, but that was fun. That was really a lot of fun. So, yes, number 5 for me is R2 and Chopper, just sharing screen time together. Okay, what else do we have here? Minta says, Captain Rex, a nice little Easter egg for those who rode the old Galactic Tours, Star Tours ride. You know what? I love that too. I think that's great. Paul Rubens came back to voice. And even though this isn't actually the same Rex droid, it's the same model, same voice, same everything. So that was fun. And the only reason I know that, by the way, is I've been watching Rebels Recon as I've been watching this, hosted by Andy Gutierrez. It was fun to rewatch those with her and Pablo and Dave, because they walk through and give you behind the scenes stuff. Killian Plunkett does a lot of interviews. It's great. Then they show the Chopper cam, of course, as he's cruising through Lucasfilm. Pretty neat. All right, number 5 for Henrik and Jason. Henrik says, Ezra using the Force to save Zeb in his fight with Agent Callus. And then Jason says, Bail Organa and the Corellian Corvette, one of the many connections to the original trilogy. Both great number 5s for sure. Let's see, who else do we have? Amber says, seeing R2 and 3PO. Absolutely, very similar to my number 5. Mary, number 5. Hey, look at that. C-3PO and R2 showing up. And then all the interactions between R2 and Chop was so much fun. Yes, it was. Yes, it certainly was. Number 5 for Brian. The droid Easter eggs in the back of the ship. R2 and 3PO are with the Ralph McQuarrie designs. R3X flying the ship. Isn't that great? There's a lot of fun stuff with droids in this one. Speaking of that, boy, everybody's like almost universally. Number 5, Chopper and Ezra. I know it's part of the diversion, but it's the start of a fun dynamic of these two annoying each other for many episodes to come. And yes, they certainly do. Yes, they certainly do. Jamie's number 5. The 3PO and R2-D2 reveal. I had forgotten about the episode and didn't put much thought into the title until I started watching. Yeah, you know what? In fact, if anything, Jamie, you bring up a good point. I was tempted to maybe like rename it. I don't know, because they weren't really in distress, were they? It's more like the people were in distress. Blake is out of the sports bar with some friends, but I dropped to say hi to my CWK fam. Hopefully you all enjoy this awesome Rebels episode. Blake, thanks for joining us, brother. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a good time. Liberty's number 5. The bad guys, the Empire, and all their bad glory. And even the music, which I'll probably get to later, perhaps. That's a big part of this as well. Number 5 for Mason is Senator Organa. The surprise appearance of Senator Bail Organa at the end, and his presence, and just connecting things together to the original trilogy is great stuff. So that is Mason's number 5. And Mason's on spring break this week, so he might be a little more rowdy than usual, so look out, everybody. All right, let's go ahead and jump into number 4. Number 4 for me, speaking of Mason's number 4, is the final shot. The final shot of Bail Organa getting the information from R2. You know, we find out that R2 was filming everybody on the crew of the Ghost, and he says, "Show me what you've learned, my friend." And I love the iconic image because it's very reminiscent of his adopted daughter Leia giving the plans to R2-D2 for the Death Star later in Star Wars: A New Hope. So it was really cool, really smart they did that. Those hallways look somewhat similar to the Galactic Star Cruiser too, by the way, which is pretty fun. Number 4 for me to R2 versus Chopper. It was fun to see them interact with each other, especially picking on C-3PO. Yes, poor C-3PO, for sure. Mary, Captain Rex on the transport, all the Easter eggs. There's a lot of them, aren't there? A lot of them to choose from. Liberty, the good guys. The crew of the Ghosts are such a great team. Seeing them come together is a cool ride. It is, isn't it? It's just magical. Let's see. Amber's number 4. Zeb's backstory, seeing Zeb fight, was very cool. I'm going to talk about that later. Jason has, for number 4 for Henrik, Kanan using the disruptor rifles against the ATSTs. And then Jason's number 4 is the Jedi, Return of the Jedi music. I love Kevin Kiner taking the theme from when R2-D2 and C-3PO are approaching Jabba's palace and repurposing it for when the droids are on the screen in this episode. No, I like that. I think that's a good one too. Ben's number 4. Sabine sends the Empire the wrong way. She sure is having a fun time acting in that moment. She's very good at that. And she does seem to enjoy it, doesn't she? Ross DJ3 RX pre-Oga's gig starting as a pilot droid for Gurel Interstellar Excursions. Yes. And Ross, love that. And like I was saying earlier, Pablo said that it's not exactly Rex. It is a similar model. But so I don't know. I wouldn't have known that if I didn't watch Rebels Recon over anyway. Brian's number 4. 3PO being the droid in distress and phoning a friend to give up the Rebels location. Well, there you go. That makes sense, Brian. We were screaming at 3PO on the screen for being a tattletale. I know. He is such a nervous Nettie, isn't he? So much so. Jamie's number 4. Bail Organa. He looks as much like Jimmy Smits when animated. He does. The likeness is really uncanny there. Number 4 for Mason is when Ezra says, when Kanan says, your formal Jedi training starts tomorrow, just giving us that hint of what we are waiting for, that Ezra's definitely waiting for, that Kanan's going to train him to be a Jedi. Let's see. Ross, I'm assuming Pablo probably has it on better background than me. Well, you're both charismatic and have facial hairs, and you're both really fun people to talk to. So, Ross, you flip a coin on that one, buddy. You gotta flip a coin. You can't go wrong with Ross or Pablo, I would say. All right, let's go into number 3. Number 3 for me. I believe, who mentioned this earlier? Was it? It was Amber. So the cool thing about this episode for me, and I'm really grateful for the rewatch, because I don't think I would have thought of it before, but the fight sequence here is really cool because Zeb is on full display as far as why he's so powerful. He's got the brute force. He's very athletic, and his hands are very, very strong, and his feet too. But the fight sequence, he also shows a lot of grace too, and he's just fired up, and it's just a cool action sequence. It was cool to see a fight sequence. One of the first ones. This was before anything with Chirrut Inway, because this was before Chirrut, I believe, was out. If I've got the timeline correct, and I think that I do, as far as what we have seen. Yeah, that makes sense. And just seeing him gracefully move through the field with those weapons was pretty cool. Minta's number 3. Bail Organa reveals saying that he was the buyer for the droids was a nice touch for the episode, as well as a great tie for A New Hope. It was cool, wasn't it? Such a cool one. Mary's number 3. Zeb's issues with the disruptors. We learned a little about Zeb's story and how tragic it is. Love how Hera explained some of it to Ezra. I thought that was a nice piece of exposition that didn't distract from things. So very good. Let's see. Ross is number 3. Ezra can force push like a champ. I was excited to see as he connected and saved Zeb. A very exciting moment that I'd forgotten about until I saw it again. Number 3 for Henrik. Zeb fighting the stormtroopers in the hangar. Nice. Similar to my number 3. And Jason's number 3. The continued use of humor and banter between the members of the Ghost crew. So well done. I agree. Love that part. One of the best things about Rebels is the chemistry. Liberty's number 3, seeing Ezra start to more purposefully use the Force. He's obviously naturally gifted, definitely. He's strong in the Force, isn't he? Amber's number 3. Zeb and Ezra's evolution as teammates, very good. Jamie's 3. Ezra forced push to save Zeb, surprises everyone, including himself. That's right. I know, it's a cool moment. I like that we're surprised as he's surprised. Ben's number 3. Senator Organa makes an appearance, and the Ghost Crew are connected to the larger rebellion. Dun, dun, dun. That's right. Number 3 for Brian. Hera's motherly, quick, and quiet discussion with Ezra about Zeb's feelings and to look at the bigger picture of what is happening. A very important moment, Brian, for sure. Number 3 for Mason is the roof climbing when Ezra is running across, catapulting himself across the rooftops of Gorel. It's just a really cool sequence. I think it's neat that I believe early on in interviews, Dave said that Aladdin was kind of inspired Ezra, and then you kind of see like Ezra sort of living out the beginning of when Aladdin is in Agrabah. It's not a one-to-one comparison. It's not necessarily the only way, but it was a little bit of inspiration, so it was fun to see that. That is Mason's number 3. And speaking of that, it is also my number 2. Mason's number 3 is my number 2. The rooftop acrobatics, like I just explained for Mason's. It's just it's a really beautifully animated sequence. This is early on, before Rebels really finds its stride. But it's always great, and there's some thrills to it, and some near misses, and I kept thinking as he was jumping, man, if he doesn't make it across this, the rest of the galaxy is really going to be in a bit of a bind, because all the ways that Ezra will eventually impact the rebellion and the galaxy as a whole. But it's a really beautiful, really thrilling action sequence that I really love. So that is my number 2, and it was Mason's number 3. Let's see. Minta, Kanan ready to start Ezra's formal training to become a Jedi. He could see that he was stronger in the Force when he saved Zeb from Kallus, seeing that he had a long journey ahead of him. Yes, that was exciting. I think that was Mason's number 4, so that's cool. Ross, number 2, the R2 and 3PO appearance, only enhanced by Senator Bail Organa's cameo. It was great. Seeing everybody together is always magic. Henrik's number 2. Ezra using the Force to jump across the rooftops. And then Jason's number 2, R2-D2 and C-3PO. I love these two droids. They are just magical together. They really are. Let's see. Mason's number 2 was... when Kanan says, "It wasn't me, it was Ezra," because Zeb thanks Kanan, and Kanan's like, "No, it wasn't me. It was Ezra." So then Zeb is equally surprised by the entire thing. So that's Mason's number 2. Mary's second one, or number 2, is Zeb and Kallus fight. How Kallus is basically taunting Zeb by talking about he was there and ordering the genocide of the Lasat. Then Ezra force pushing Kallus to save Zeb. The looks on all their faces when this happens, and Zeb's face when Kanan tells him that Ezra saved him. Great stuff. Great storytelling. Number 2 for Amber, Ezra's force push and his surprise. Yes, all around. A lot of people are bringing this up because it's such a great moment. Number 2 for Ben, Zeb gets the spotlight. I love his style fighting the troopers. We get a quick backstory and his face-off with Kallus. Yeah, it just shows he's more than just muscle and sass. Number 2 for Brian, seeing the ghost crew, in action. Each person plays a small part in the puzzle to complete the mission. Yes, absolutely. And I gave you Mason's number 2. Liberty's number 2. Droids. I laughed so hard at Chopper in the beginning, picking on Ezra, the 3PO being his obnoxious self, and R2-D2 being the quick-thinking hero as usual. Yes, he is. Jamie's number 2. The teamwork decision to destroy the weapons once they saw by the chance they could end up okay in the wrong hands, and how R2-D2 provides the plan to do just that. Yeah, R2 saves the day, man. That is his thing. Ben says, so he has a lot of muscles and sass, too. That's true. It is very true, Ben. It is absolutely very true. But let's look at number 1. Your number 1 top moment from Droids in Distress, or at least my number 1 moment, is Zeb's development. So the picture I found here, I did it because he's in the background, which I think is important because Zeb is often in the background in a lot of these episodes. Yeah, he's funny and he affects the action, but he doesn't typically drive the action. He's definitely more of a secondary character. But in this one, he gets to do a bit more. Like, we see that this bothers him. I think that it bothers him is important and natural because of what happened to his people because of these ionic disruptors. But what's really important is that he doesn't say anything to his friends about it. I mean, that shows that even though he's assertive on the battlefield, he's not necessarily assertive with his words, at least initially. And the fact that he holds back from telling his friends shows that he's still got a lot of internal conflict. I think that's important. I think that's how you can learn a lot about a character without it specifically being spelled out for you. Plus the fighting, plus the way that he gives his all to fight against Agent Callus. And I just think there's a lot of really cool, important stuff there. The way he carries himself throughout the episode shows us a lot more about him. There's more to him than just being the muscles and sass that we talked about earlier. And so his development as a character, done very overtly and very subtly, is a really cool reason why this Star Wars Rebels is such a great, great series. So Zeb's development is my number one thing from this episode. And I'd completely forgotten that he was even showcased in Droids In Distress. I remember the scene on the Star Speeder, or one like the Star Speeder, and R2 being there, but I just couldn't remember this part. So again, so glad we were rewatching this together. Number one for me, Zeb's backstory / fight with against Callus. It was a great starting point to learn what happens to his people. We got to witness his fighting style against Callus. It will be interesting to see a spin-off series about his story. Now that, Minta, is great. I like that. Be sure to spread that out there. That's a good idea. Number one for Ross, Zeb and Callus and the tragic history lesson of their duel and the Disruptors. Very sad. Really kind of messed up. Number one for Mary. The Bail Organa reveal the interaction with Kanan, but most importantly, the last scene with R2-D2, such symmetry with A New Hope. Yes, really nicely done. Amber, Senator Organa, and the Hope line and the feeling of it coming full circle. Very similar to what Mary just mentioned. Very good. Brian's number one. Ezra's awakening to save Zeb. They were bickering in the entire episode, and you see his true heart when he saves Zeb from Agent Callus. Definitely. Jason Heinrich's number one. Ezra and Chopper fighting with each other on the transport ship. That was pretty fun, for sure. Like, it's acting, but it's also, I don't know, you can't help but think because they're almost like brothers. There's some fun in there, so good call, Heinrich. Jason's number one. Let's see, where'd it go? There we go. Zeb's backstory with the disruptor rifles and the ferocity with which he fights the Imperials because of it. This added a lot of depth to his character and even got me choked up at one point. I respect that. I understand what you're saying. Amber has an honorable mention. River thought Wabu speaking to it and the Imperial minister telling him to stop talking was hilarious. Yeah, that was interesting too. Ben's number one. Ezra saves Zeb with the Force. Not only does it save Zeb, but it's enough to get Kanan to stop procrastinating Ezra's training. Also, I like how Hera calls Kanan out for procrastinating, calling him love. Yeah, they don't. I think it's one of the last times she calls him love in season 1, but it kind of stands out, doesn't it, when she does that? Liberty's number one is seeing Bail Organa. It's my favorite scene from the episode. Design to the greater picture is so awesome. Love it that everything in Star Wars ties in eventually. I love that too, Liberty. That's a good one. Mason's number one is Ezra using the Force. Many of you mentioned Ezra's Force push to save Zeb's life, and he does save Zeb's life. That it was so impactful and such a cool moment, and that it was Mason's number one. So that is going to do it next week. Thanks everybody for sharing your top 5 episodes of Droids in Distress. Next week, naturally, is going to be about the 4th episode in season 1, Fight or Flight. You may have noticed that season 1 is not a full 22 episode season. Neither is season 4, by the way, but seasons 2 and 3 are. We'll be doing this for a while, all the way through next year, and I'm having a great time doing it. So be sure to do your Star Wars homework, right? How great is that? Your top 5 moments from Star Wars Rebels, Fight or Flight. For those of you just joining us, I want to remind you on Thursday, May 25th from 7 o'clock until we get our credits run out, we're going to be at the Hilton Anaheim Mix Lounge. All podcasts are welcome for the Celebration Podcast Meetup. This is something we do. We've done them multiple years. We did them in Anaheim in 15. We did it in Orlando in 17 and Jocks Lindy's Hangar Bar. We did it in the hotel at Celebration Chicago in 20, and now we're going to do it here. In 2019. Now we're going to do it at the Hilton Anaheim Mix Lounge in 2022. Thursday, May 26th. And then Friday is going to be the Star Wars After Dark night at Disneyland. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun 2-night experience. let's go ahead. This is not really much of a transition, but let's go ahead and jump into Ask Dan Z. All right, so this is your chance to ask me anything about Star Wars, about podcasting, about the show, any questions you have about Celebration that I'm able to answer. I am happy to do so. Yeah, it's actually, if you're starting to get ready to plan Celebration, you have any questions about it, feel free to ask me. I'll do what I can to help steer you in the right direction, give you peace of mind, whatever. I notice there are a lot of our friends from the CWK family, especially members of the CWK Alliance. They're actually in Galaxy's Edge right now. I know Andrew Harrison is there. Tyler Pampa is going to be there. And who else is there? Dustin is there. And I feel like there's one. If there's someone I'm missing, please forgive me. But I know there's several of you that are actually out there right now. Ben said, I just bought a couple new Star Wars Lego sets. Do you have a favorite set? Well, Ben, you got to share with us what you have. And when you build it, be sure to put it in the CW Cafe, which is our Facebook group, where you can share all of your fun Star Wars collections and experiences and thoughts on stuff in our Facebook group at coffeewithkenobi.com/community, or just look for the CWK Cafe in Facebook and you can sign up. But yeah, Ben, be sure to post that. Favorite sets, I don't know. I like the Razor Crest because it's got a bunch of figures. There's so many. The Millennium Falcon one is fun, but it just took so long to build. You can't go wrong with the great stuff. And the Star Wars Lego video game is coming out very, very soon too. Daniel says we would love to experience that someday. I would love for you to go there too, man. You're gonna love it. Jason says nothing to do with Star Wars. Do you have an NCAA bracket? Who do you have winning, men's or women's? So I've got Villanova winning. Right now I'm in fourth place, third or fourth place in my family poll. So if Villanova goes to the championship game, then I'm going to win it. But I don't know. We'll see. What about you, man? Liberty says, you probably said this before, but since I'm fairly new around here, who is your favorite droid? My favorite droid, Liberty, and thank you for asking, is Chopper. I love R2-D2. I love SK-620 from the Galactic Star Cruiser, but I love Chopper. There's something about his grit, his attitude that's so fun. Ben bought the Razor Crest. It's so fun, right? It's so great. Ross says, I know you don't want to reveal until then, but have you already picked out your outfit for day one on the stage at Celebration? So, Ross, the Coffee with Kenobi fashion consultant, a.k.a. Deanna Zare, is working with me on that. So we are already thinking about some different ideas. So, yes, stay tuned, my friend. Ben says, I'm going to Villanova for my MBA right now. Oh, nice. Well, congratulations, man. That is quite an accomplishment, my friend. So I want them to win even more now because of that. Thanks for sharing that. That's so cool. Jason says, I have Villanova winning the men's tournament and my alma mater, Michigan, winning the women's. Michigan winning the women's. Oh, cool. Wow, look at you. Michigan, how about that? A Wolverine. Liberty says, in regards to Chopper, he's sassy. Yes, Chopper is sassy, and he's so much fun. I think we've done did we ever do a top 5 members of the crew of the Ghost? I think we did. And I think Chopper ended up being kind of high on my list. I think, Mason, does that sound right, buddy? Remind us if that's true. By the way, Mason wanted you to know that he thinks Voldemort would beat Darth Vader. You can think about that one if you want. Speaking of thinking about things, again, in the summer of 2023, I know a lot of you are unable to go to Celebration, but if you can save your credits, consider joining us on the Galactic Star Cruiser in the summer of 2023 at Walt Disney World. You'll be going with me and MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. They're going to help make the whole thing as easy for you as possible. Be strongly considering that. Once we have official dates, we will let you know. Ross wants to know, hey, Jason, is Henrik named after Zetterberg? And he says, yes, he is. Well, how about that? How cool. Look at that. It's a small world after all, isn't it, friends? Love it. Well, next week, be sure to join us on CWK Live on Monday night as we go look at the next episode in Star Wars Rebels Season 1. Next week, again, is going to be Top 5 Moments from Star Wars Rebels Fighter Flight. Very good. All right, cue the music, Steve. Steve Turok playing the music to escort us out of CWK Live. Ben says, Ross, I had the same exact question reading Jason Heinrich's answers. Isn't that cool? Look at our little family here kicking some butt. So fun. Minta, may the force be with you. Mary, have a great weekend. Thank you all for joining me every Monday night. And when I really want to build this community of CWK Live, if we had as many people who watch CWK Live every week as we do download Coffee with Kenobi, wow. So bring a friend. Spread the word about how much fun CWK Live is. Turn on your notifications on Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook page so that you can get updates and you can share them and spread the word with everybody else. And we can continue to build this community so that everybody can find out how much fun we have at Coffee with Kenobi. Brian says, a great week to start the week. Thanks, Dan. Thank you, Brian, for joining us, my friend. Jason Heinrich, have a great week, and may the force be with all of you. Ross says, thanks, Dan. Congrats again, and everyone have a wonderful week. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for reaching out, and I hope you have a great week as well. Amber, always fun to chat with you all. Thanks so much. Liberty, have a great week, and Liberty had some really cool pictures from her experiences playing Star Wars Trivia. I believe, right, Liberty, you posted that. That was fun. Check that out. Daniel, may the force be with you. See you on the web as well. Ben, we will see you next week. We will see you all next week, and then later on Thursday is the next episode of Coffee with Kenobi. If you did listen to Coffee with Kenobi this week, then you heard the return of Claudia Gray. Claudia Gray, the author of Star Wars The High Republic, The Fallen Star. She joined us to give a spoiler-free discussion, or I'm sorry, spoiler-filled, absolutely chock full of spoilers for The Fallen Star on episode, I think, 489. We did a spoiler-free one. And now she's back for a spoiler-filled discussion. Be sure to check that out. It was a ton of fun on CWK Prover this week. If you're a member of the CWK Alliance, you get access to CWK Prover. Corey, me, and Tom talked about the Ms. Marvel trailer and how excited we are for that new Marvel series. All right, everybody. Thanks again for everything. We will see you next week. And remember, this is the podcast you're looking for. See you next time, friends.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here.